Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to another round of garage gossip. Now, as the summer break fast approaches, unbelievably so, the driver market often starts to get interesting, and this year is no exception. But as I said a few weeks back in the last gossip video, it's Mercedes that holds the key, and it appears as though most teams are holding off on any decisions whilst they wait for them, and indeed Red Bull, to make a final decision over their second seats. As you may well know, that hasn't stopped the rumour mill churning stuff out. Coming up, I'm going to go over the latest calendar rumours, the speculation around the 2022 Williams lineup, as well as some news on Fernando Alonso's future. But first up today, it's the latest chat around the future of Valtteri Bottas. It looks as though George Russell is set to land that second seat at Mercedes, with Toto Wolff saying that the team would make a final call over the summer, whilst also teasing at Silverstone that the decision could already have been made. If the Russell to Mercedes rumours are true, that would leave Valtteri Bottas looking for a seat elsewhere, with the Finn insisting he wants to stay in F1 rather than race in another series. It was widely believed that he would end up back at Williams in an effective swap deal, I suppose you could say, with Russell. However, this week, reports have emerged claiming he could well be on his way to Alfa Romeo. According to Autosport, what they call high-level sources have claimed that Alfa have identified Bottas as their leading target and would be looking to bring him into the team to replace Kimi Raikkonen, as it looks increasingly unlikely they will be keeping him on beyond the end of 2021. That said, it could be in place of either driver, because there could yet be a total overhaul of the Alfa lineup, with Frederick Vasseur admitting everything is open regarding the team's 2022 drivers. Got to admit though, Raikkonen and Bottas sounds like a very tasty yet ridiculously chilled driver lineup. But anyway, initial contact, albeit brief, has allegedly been made, but no decision will be taken until obviously Mercedes has decided what it is doing with that second seat. After all, whilst the Russell rumours won't go away, they could yet still keep the Finn on for another season, although it is looking less and less likely as time goes on. And when it comes to Williams, F1i reports that Bottas is reluctant to join them, as he doesn't want to risk spending next season at the back of the field, which I can sort of understand. But at the same time, with the regulations changing, there's a risk that could be the case with a number of teams up and down the grid. But more on Williams shortly. So what do we all make of this one then? I actually think there could be some truth to this, believe it or not. And as I say, I can sort of understand Bottas's reluctance to return to Williams given the team's troubles over recent seasons. But at the same time, they have made some decent progress this year and are already focused on trying to get the best out of next year's regulations. That's not to say that Alfa Romeo isn't going places too, because they very well could do. After all, they are also putting focus on next year, and with the Alfa name sticking around for now, it could well be a tantalising prospect. From the team's point of view, Bottas would absolutely bring some really solid experience with him, and not only in terms of the sport, but also the fact he has spent the last few years racing at the very sharp end of the grid. There's no denying as well he's a quick guy, and that would obviously appeal, and although not a world champion, he could well fill the void that Raikkonen would leave. As we know from previous reports, Alfa is keen to have that sort of driver on board from a marketing perspective, perhaps ideally a champion, but a multi-race winning driver would also be a great asset for the team and the brand. And you know, at 31 years old, he could commit to the team and offer some stability, which they haven't really had with Kimi only signing 1-year extensions. And actually, flip that around, that would be great for Bottas too. He's spent the last few years constantly having to deal with questions about his future, and so I think it would do him the world of good to get a multi-year deal somewhere so he can focus on his driving and nothing else. Look at how much Carlos Sainz appeared to benefit from being settled at McLaren for several years rather than being pushed from pillar to post every season. Make no mistake though, any move, whether it be Alfa, Williams, Haas if you like, whoever, will have to be a bit of a step backwards for him, because seats at teams like McLaren, Ferrari and Aston are closed off. And if you throw into that as well the fact that Red Bull looks set to stick with Perez, a step back is really his only option if he wants to truly stay in F1. And I do genuinely hope that he does, because I firmly believe he still has a lot to give and would offer a lot to any team that took him on. This one is going to be an interesting rumour to keep a close eye on in the coming weeks though. That all leads us on very nicely to Williams and the latest on which drivers the team is looking at for next year. Now, we've already heard that Valtteri Bottas, Nico Hülkenberg and Daniel Kvyat are all options, with some talk that Nicholas Latifi could also stay. But a new name has entered the conversation this week, and that is Nyck de Vries. Yes, you heard that correctly. De Vries was allegedly on Williams' list of options for 2020 and indeed 2021 after becoming F2 champion in 2019. That's a lot of 20s. However, that obviously never came to anything, and now reports have emerged claiming he's back on the list of options. Why do I feel like this Williams list is going to get longer and longer and longer as the days and weeks pass? How long before Mika Häkkinen is rumoured to be making his comeback from his sabbatical? When I first read this rumour, not gonna lie, I completely dismissed it as nonsense. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is because the more you think about it, the less absurd it seems to be. Look, let me make this clear. I do not think this will happen. Why? Well, first of all, he is racing in Formula E with Mercedes, a factory drive, and he's also been racing well in the WEC. And whilst I completely get the pull of Formula One is huge, and for many drivers it's the dream destination, does he really want to throw away race-winning factory drives to gamble on a Williams seat? As I've already touched on, Williams does seem to be a team on the way up, but they could just as easily stay where they are now, fighting towards the back. But what makes me think this is far from impossible is those Mercedes ties. The Williams team has a great relationship with Merck, and so with De Vries being a Merck driver now, and the fact they seem to be fairly impressed with him, perhaps the manufacturer fancies giving him a shot in F1, and they could even offer him up as a replacement for Russell. It may well make sense. De Vries gets that F1 seat, Mercedes gets to see what he can do in the series, and Williams continues to get power unit and gearbox discounts. It is also interesting that Jos Capito has said that the team no longer needs to look at paid drivers because of its new financial resources, and the recent steps forward the outfit has taken have made it a far more attractive prospect. Again, though, I honestly think this is unlikely, and it's far more probable that the team will pick two drivers from a pool of Bottas, Hülkenberg, Fiat and Latifi, maybe throw Gasly in there too. But I guess the point is it's not totally beyond the realm of possibility that De Vries could end up there. And I think I'd kind of love to see that because there's just something about De Vries. I know it took him a little while to get that F2 title, but I still think he's a solid driver and could do a job at Williams. So here's the question for today then. If you were the boss of Williams, which drivers would you sign for 2022? Let me know what you think. And I reckon I'd go all out to try and secure Bottas and Gasly, as I've said on live streams before. But if I couldn't get them, I'd probably go with, based on that list, Hülkenberg for his experience. And do you know what? Yeah, I'd go for De Vries. Maybe take a bit of a gamble, if you could call it a gamble. I reckon that would be a good mix of a lineup. Moving on though, and Fernando Alonso looks set to stay at Alpine for 2022 after Laurent Rossi made it clear that the Spaniard is doing everything needed to secure a contract extension. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but Sean, he signed a 2-year deal last year, so this is already done. And do you know what? That was exactly my reaction to the news. However, as it turns out, that is not the case. Rossi explained that Alonso actually signed a 1-year deal last summer that contained the option to extend the contract for another year, a 1+1 deal if you like. And speaking to BBC Sport, Rossi stated that Alonso was doing a great job and is faster than ever, extracting the most from the car before going on to say, quote, "He is doing everything for me to consider exercising this option," obviously referring to the 1-year extension option. So, Alonso is staying and will be joining Esteban Ocon next season, who put pen to paper on a new deal a couple of months back. Since signing that deal, though, Ocon has hit a dip in form, and Rossi also went on to defend the decision to sign him up early, explaining the Frenchman has a lot of untapped talent and that the extension basically came with zero risk, insisting that in his opinion, Ocon is no lesser a driver than Carlos Sainz or any of the second drivers at the top teams. Interesting words from Rossi there, but the takeaway from all of this for now is that Alpine looks set to join the likes of Ferrari and McLaren in sticking with its current lineup for at least one more year. And finally for today is the latest on the 2021 calendar and its potential reshuffles. As I'm sure you'll remember, we've already had to say goodbye to the likes of Canada, Singapore and Australia this year, as well as others, with Turkey and Austria stepping in to fill a couple of the voids they've left behind. The big question mark as of right now is over what venue could replace Australia in November. Well, another race around the outer loop in Bahrain is potentially the favourite candidate. However, there is reportedly the possibility the sport could head to Qatar and race at the circuit in Doha. If I've butchered that pronunciation, apologies. And more reports have started to surface saying that circuit bosses have even approached F1 about the possibility of hosting a race this year, and it's believed to be under serious consideration. I mean, logistically, both Qatar and Sakir make perfect sense as the season finishes with a Saudi Arabia-Abu Dhabi doubleheader, and so could either take Australia's date in November or even form another triple header to round off the season. But if you want my view, which I'm guessing you probably do, given this is a channel for me to give my opinions on things, but anyway, I think it's far more likely there will be a second race in Bahrain rather than a trip to Qatar. But I will say, I would not be surprised to see it on the calendar at some point in the future. Elsewhere, doubts remain over the Japanese Grand Prix, and it's reported by AMUS that a decision will have to be made by August 10th. And should it get called off in the same way that the WEC and MotoGP races have had to be, the races in Russia and Turkey could become a doubleheader instead, with a new tripleheader of 2 races at the Circuit of the Americas and 1 in Mexico. Or even a doubleheader in Mexico and Brazil in October, followed by 2 at COTA in November. However, there is also still talk that the race in Mexico could be in doubt too, so that may not happen either. It's all very confusing, and it's also important to remind you at this point this is just the current speculation and nothing has been confirmed either way as of yet. And on top of all of that, Brazil also remains in serious doubt, although organisers are still keen to make sure it goes ahead as planned, which, let's say, complicates things a little bit, but I'm not going to get into that today. But keep an eye out over the coming weeks. I'm sure we'll start to get some clarity over the races in Japan and Brazil soon. But whatever happens over the next few days, weeks and months, one thing is for certain, there will definitely be some reshuffling of the calendar needed. That is it for this round of garage gossip though, but you can let me know your thoughts on any of the rumours featured today in the comment section down below. Don't forget to tell me who you would pick for Williams. Now, I will be back soon with some more content, but in the meantime, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help out the channel, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.